This week we are headed to Death Hollow, which is in the Grand Staircase Escalante National Monument in southern Utah. With me on this trip is my brother-in-law Dave, 3 of his kids, Josh, Ammon, and Lincoln, and another nephew, Ryan. We did a 3-day backpacking trip starting at the Boulder Mail Trailhead and finishing at Highway 12 and the Escalante River. I'll put all the locations and info about the hike and camping spots in the description below for when you're planning your trip. Just took a break at Sand Creek, halfway down to the river. I don't love those clouds up there, but it's supposed to clear away this morning, and our whole hike this morning we're totally exposed, not into the canyon at all, so I'm not too worried about any flash floods for us or anything, at least not yet. That view is looking up Death Hollow, and that view is looking down. We're just dropping in off the Boulder Mail Trail. That's Death Hollow. We're gonna drop in there and then hike down to the Escalante River and out the Escalante River. That's spectacular. It's pretty steep. I can hear the river. So the first day was only a couple of hours hiking, which we did in the morning so we could escape the afternoon heat, as the first day we had hardly any shade. We found a great campsite, ate lunch in the river, and set up camp. We had plenty of time that afternoon to explore upriver and get a taste of what the next 2 days would be like walking in the river. The first night was great, hardly any bugs, super soft sand, and with the water right next to us, it was the perfect way to fall asleep. You guys ready for today?
Yeah.
The goal today is not fall in the water. We'll see how that goes. Into the water. We're gonna stay down, but this gets you out of this follows the Boulder Mail, or the Boulder Mail Trail up. On the second day of hiking, we were in and out of the water for a couple hours. Some of us wore pants because there were patches of poison ivy on shore that you end up having to hike through. I was able to avoid it except for a couple spots on my forearm. The hike, though, was filled with river crossings, and we passed some really neat campsites along the way. This is a legit campsite. Someone was bored. Woo, that's my deepest yet. We need our depth testers. I went high against the rock and I was fine. That's where we're camping night 2. We got to our second campsite at about 1 in the afternoon, and it overlooked a couple of small waterfalls with a classic backcountry swimming hole. We spent all afternoon playing in and out of the water. It felt great while the sun was on us, but once it went behind the canyon walls, the water felt a lot colder. By then it was getting late in the evening anyway, and it was time for dinner. We had the perfect view overlooking the waterfalls, and we had it all to ourselves. It felt like a tropical oasis, and this has to be high on the list of favorite places. So this is our second night camping. This is my hammock spot tonight. Set up, the river's just right down there. A couple hammocks over there. Pretty worn out today, been playing in the sun in that pool all afternoon. It's a gorgeous spot. Anyway, time for bed. On day 3, the canyon walls came closer together, and we knew there was going to be a spot where we might have to swim. In talking with some people that have done the hike before, they recommended bringing a tube or something that you can let your backpack float on while you swim. This section would be the only part I could see using a tube, but for the hike we did, I would not bring one. It sounds like higher up in Death Hollow there are more swimming sections where a tube or something to float your backpack on would be a must. We all made it through this section without any backpacks getting wet. There was a chance of getting soaked though, especially when on all fours under an overhang. It was sloped, slick, and a ledge right next to you into a much deeper section of the water. The kids ripped right through this area, reminding Dave and I of our size and age. We made it. At least through that part. We're not done yet. It is super deep over there and super slippery right here.
Can you imagine a couple more feet in here?
You'd have to swim.
Yeah.
When you hit the Escalante, the canyon opens up a lot more, and there start to be different trails you could take out of the canyon. We decided to follow the river all the way out to Highway 12 where we had a car waiting. In that final section, you're in the sun the entire way, and the scenery totally changes. The walls started to turn red, and we passed a couple of arches and an Indian cliff dwelling below one of them. After crossing the river a couple more times, I started to look forward to the half-frozen Gatorade waiting in the cooler. This day was our longest day of hiking at about 5.5 hours, which isn't bad at all. There are lots of trails around here and many different ways to do a similar hike. This should be near the top of the list of things to do when you're in Utah. Dude, that's like nothing we've seen. That's a big pond. I'd camp here. It was a little different this week not having my wife and kids in the video, but thank you for watching, and if you liked it, click the subscribe button below as we come out with a new video every Sunday. The videos are mostly of my family's camping adventures as we work towards visiting all 62 national parks and the many incredible places along the way. We're almost done, almost to the car. What a trip. I would do it again in a heartbeat.